Hello everyone. In today's video I will go over the Ultimatum League mechanic and see how profitable it is. I will show you two runs. One will be very expensive and the other one will be very cheap. But first let's go over the Atlas tree. Back into face the Ultimatum, stand your ground, prove yourself worthy, protect the altar, slaughter them all, and survive the assault. Simple reason for me not speccing into Conquer the Stones is that this is the worst out of the 4 Ultimatum encounters, and the last Ultimatum node would be Brave the Tower. I personally do not spec into these nodes. You can, obviously, if you want to, but I would rather run the Inscribed Ultimatum, Scarab, and not waste any points here. And I personally do not care about getting more unique items, divination card items, or currency items. Maybe I'm not even sure if it really increases the profit margins, but correct me if I'm wrong there. Okay, I also decided to spec into Scarabs, Skittering Swarms, Remarkable Relics, and Chittering Champions. This node is optional if you do not intend to kill the map boss. If you just go in, do the Ultimatum, and go out again, you can take the points out of this node and spec into Shrines. Just put them in here. I usually like to kill the map boss because on the map that I'm going to use, the map boss is usually not too far away from the Ultimatum encounter. And I also spec into Amplified Artifacts. For more expect modifiers, I spec into Mounting Modifiers, Physical Perfection, and Invasive Adversaries. For the altars, I personally like the blue altars this league. I already get 3 Divine Orb altars, which is pretty lucky. So the Shadow of Hunger, Rampant Growth, and Eldritch Gaze. I also decided to take all the quantity nodes over here and the ones in the middle. Oh, and one thing that I also forgot is that I take the Trapping Carpusses, Harrowing Carpusses, and Devoted Carpusses, because the Scarabs that drop have some decent value, so why not just spec into those? Yeah, so for the quantity nodes, while quantity nodes do not affect the normal rewards that you get from Ultimatum, they do increase the amount of catalysts that you get. And if you get good catalysts, why not get more of them, right? Pretty easy. Also decided to roll away some mechanics to increase the chance to get good Scarabs. I rolled away Heist, Delirium, Light, Ritual, Legion, Expedition, Abyss, and Breaches. I decided to keep Harvest and obviously Ultimatum. Let me quickly talk about the Scarabs. So the Scarabs that I always would recommend you to run are the Ultimatum Scarabs of Bribing. You get a lot more experience, and if you run a cheap Ultimatum, you get better rewards as well. Ultimatum encounters grant rewards as though you completed 2 additional rounds. You can use 2 of those, very cheap, so you get a lot better rewards from them. The Ultimatum Scarab of Dueling is something that I personally use. You can use it or not. This is totally up to you, how high your budget is. Ultimatum encounters in area will always lead to a unique boss if possible. The boss has some decent drops. He also drops Tainted Catalysts, and the node here gives us a full stack of a random catalyst. So I personally think it is worth it to invest into. Ultimatum Scarab of Inscription. Ultimatum encounter rewards in area offering catalysts will offer inscribed ultimatums to the map owner instead. I personally am not a fan of this. It's very cheap, but you can run this if you want to farm a decent amount of inscribed ultimatums. And as I've already said, if you want to be a bit more specific, let's say you want more unique items from your inscribed ultimatums, just spec into one of these nodes or even 2 of these nodes. Totally up to you. And the last one, Ultimatum Scarab of Catalyzing. Ultimatum encounters in the area will only offer catalyst as reward to the map owner. This is super expensive. It costs 1.1 Divine Orbs, so I would only take this if you can clear the Ultimatum. If you're not sure if you can clear the Ultimatum and you have some losses still where your character dies, I will not take this. It's very expensive and it's still a gamble. You will not make profit every time you run this. So for map recommendations, you can pretty much run whatever you want. I personally like the Glacier map though, and Jungle Valley is very good as well. The reason why Jungle Valley is good is the fact that you cannot get a boss altar on this map because the boss spawns when you enter the boss arena. Okay, let's go to Wealthy Exile and go over the costs. For the very expensive run, I will use this setup here. We only have space for 1 Sacrifice at Dawn. For those of you who do not know that, the Sacrifice of Dawn fragments give 5% quantity, so we will add this one as well. So the expensive run will cost 1.3 divine orbs. We will use a Ultimatum Scarab of catalyzing, a Ultimatum Scarab of dueling, 2 Ultimatum Scarabs of bribing. We will run a glacier map. I also added the chisels to this, so these cost 2.8C as well. And I also added 2 chaos orbs as well, just in case if you have to reroll the map. The second run will be a lot cheaper. For the second run, we will only use the 2 Ultimatum Scarabs of bribing and 3 sacrifices, which currently cost 1C. So in total, we will pay 15 chaos orbs for the cheapest run. Okay, as you can see here, we have the 2 scarabs of bribing, 1 scarab of catalyzing, and 1 scarab of dueling, glacier map, and a sacrifice at midnight. I usually just take increased quantity here and the Eater of Worlds.
Insulting all and exhilarating sensation for John.
Okay, you just saw the very, very expensive run. Let me show you the cheapest run. I will just use 2 Ultimatum Scarabs of bribing and the sacrifices for some extra quantity for the catalysts and for the map in general. And just a chiseled up glacier map. Nothing special, quantity, the worlds, you know the drill. Okay, this is what I got out of the expensive run. As you can see, a lot of bad catalysts. We got a bit unlucky there, but that's totally fine. This can happen. Glimpse of Chaos, Scarab, and some regular currency. And this is what I got out of the cheap run. 2 inscribed ultimatums, some catalysts, some gems, gift cards, and some Scarabs. And we got 21,000 gold in total. The first run gave us 13,000 and the second one gave us 8,000 gold. Let's go to Wealthy Exile and check out the returns. So Wealthy Exile evaluates the expensive stash tab at 141 Chaos Orbs. So we definitely made a loss there, because we didn't get any of the good catalysts, obviously. And for the second one, we made 87 Chaos Orbs, so that's a pretty healthy profit. So if you want to try and increase your profit margins, you can go to your Horticraft station. Depending on how expensive Vivid Crystallized Life Force is at the moment. I paid 1 Divine Orb for 6,800 Life Force. I think the regular price is 5,700, so you always have to look at the price for that. And you can try to re-roll the bad catalysts into good catalysts. So let's spend our 6,800 Life Force and see if we get lucky. This one is bad. What we are aiming for are either fertile catalysts or prismatic catalysts. All the other catalysts are bad. As you can see, this is very expensive. This one could be acceptable as well, but we're gonna keep rolling. And here we got the prismatic catalysts. As you can see, you can try to increase your profit margins a bit. We went from 1 Chaos Orb to 13 Chaos Orbs per catalyst. This is still worth it, but you always have to check the market prices for the Vivid Crystallized Life Force. At some point, it will no longer be worth it to do this. And it is also a gamble as well. There will be times where you get a lot of prismatic catalysts back to back, and there will be times where you get none. So this is another thing that you could theoretically do, but you don't have to. Before I end this video, I wanted to quickly give you guys my opinion on the mechanic. I think Ultimatum can be very, very fun and rewarding as well, but you need a really good character to make money with Ultimatum. If your character dies once, you lose everything, which is pretty hardcore. One thing that I forgot to mention in the Atlas section of this video is that if you have a character that is not so strong yet, you can take Ruinous Wager. Ultimatum monsters in your maps apply Ruin with the special abilities, failing on reaching 7 Ruin. Ultimatum monsters and modifiers in your maps deal 50% less damage. And another note could be Wellspring of Creation. Monsters in your maps deal 25% less damage. Monsters in your maps have 50% more life. So overall, would I recommend Ultimatum to someone who wants to make stable currency? Absolutely not. I would personally just stick to Expedition, Harbingers, Ambush. But if you want to have some fun and you like the risk, I would definitely recommend Ultimatum. Oh, and one thing that I nearly forgot to mention is Ultimatum doesn't drop a lot of gold. So if you like the current League mechanic, I would always recommend that you clear the map completely. This is what I do as well, because I want to interact with the League mechanic a bit. I like to send out some ships to Ribbonfell and get some currency on the side. I want to use my mappers and everything. So if you just want to farm purely Ultimatum, you have to live with the fact that you will most likely not be able to interact with the current League mechanic. Okay, that concludes the video. I hope you guys found it informative. If you did, consider giving this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more pathofexile content. If you have some questions or suggestions for future videos, or you just want to give some feedback on how the strategy works out for you, or even some improvements to the strategy, I do not know everything, please leave them in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Goodbye.